Hey everyone. Okay, so here we are.
Hey.
It's out. It's out, and we've been playing, and a couple of these guys have already even beat it. With me tonight
Yep.
is Joel Zealous,
Hello, people.
and we have Cleric,
Yo yo.
and we have Cheng from Cheng here.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so like I said in last week's show, we were going to do kind of as close to live as we get right now. We're going to just do a straight shoot here for a little while. We're going to record this, and then we're going to put it up there. And if it's like crap, just blame Zealous. Because
Yeah, all right. All right.
We blame Zealous for everything.
See where this is
actually very
going.
methodical about it. I have no idea how this is going to sound. He's very methodical with the editing for the show. So, but I'm not letting him tonight. We're recording this, and then he's going to put in a couple things, and then we're out of here. But yeah, okay. So Verdict Day has been out since this morning, and maybe some of you got it at midnight, depending on your store. And if they had a midnight open, I think FIFA came out, and so some of the last stores were doing a midnight thing. I think all of us except for Cheng got it today. Of course, Cheng, feel free to tell them when you got it.
Yesterday morning.
Yeah, yesterday morning. Yes, and he loves that. Don't let him tell you otherwise. So yeah, okay. So, Cleric, when did you get it?
I got it this morning about 10:40.
I got it around. I got back with. I got out of GameStop at about 11:30 with it, and Zealous, I think you got it 10 minutes ago.
Something like that. Yeah. I just booked it at like 90, 110 just to get back here. No, I picked it up at let's see, it was a bit past 2 Central, and by the time I got in and got things settled, installed, and got ready, it was about 3 Central when I got ready to play. So
we've all got a few hours under our belts here,
Yep.
and Chen, I believe you have completed the story mode.
Today, yes. Cleric helped me with it. That last one was a lot harder than I would have thought it would be. People are going to like it.
About spoilers, but that's since it is the day that the game came out, let's try to keep it a little spoiler free tonight. We're just here to talk about initial reactions, what we think about the game. So I'm going to. I would like to just ask first, and we'll go Cleric and then Cheng and then Zelsi and myself. What you're liking the most about the game so far? Let's go to you then, Cleric.
All right. Overall, my feeling of the game, like I'm right now, well, except for the exception of helping Chang beat the final mission, which is completely ahead of where I was. That's fine. It was fun. My only story, I like it better than Verdict Day. I noticed there's a little more fluidity to the movement than was the previous one, except for a few little hiccups. I noticed that wall jumping is a little more specific as to what you can wall jump off of. Like if something's at a certain angle or around an edge or crumbling thing, before you can kind of pretty much jump off anything, now it kind of seems like you get particular things in order to jump off them. This is something I've noticed. Me being a pretty avid tank user in Armored Core 5, I went right for tanks, of course. First thing I noticed, it seems like the turn speed on tanks is a little bit slower, and it looks like they've eliminated a lot of the ascension ability that tanks have, because my ascension rating is not very good anymore. Trying to get over even simple walls sometimes is hard. But something I had noticed and I'm delighted to see is that the overall mission difficulty is significantly harder than Armored Core 5 was. Not saying it's too hard to beat. There's just more of a tactical challenge to it. You just can't rush in blindly, guns blazing, and destroy everything. You actually have to think about what you're going to do, or else you're likely to lose the mission and start over again. But I've also seen there's a fair amount of new parts too, just when playing the game. And overall, I would color myself pleasantly intrigued with the new game so far.
There you go, Cheng. Where are you at? What are you loving about it so far? What's really hitting you the most?
The improved Tolima, I'd have to say, because I am heavily biased with those legs. Basically, they've got a huge buff. But beyond that, I am liking the retrofit parts, basically, because not only do they add a nice aesthetic, they give you a nice variety in parts. Because the number of new arm and leg parts aren't actually that much, but the retrofits parts alone has, I'd say, on the order of anywhere from 30 to 60 new parts. I'm also liking some of the new weapons. Like for right now, I'm using the triple shot battle rifle, which is awesome. Using just one, not two. And I also like what they did to some of the current weapons. Laser rifles got a huge decrease in energy charge. So like the Karasawa, the 40-shot one, it only does, let's see, about 9,000 is how much you need to charge it. Before, I think, was like 23,000. And
significant change.
Huge.
yeah. And although there are a few things I don't like they nerfed autocannons a bit, so they're kind of a bit harder to use. And they've changed some of the underlying mechanics of the game as well. I've noticed that damage is done a bit differently. It's the defense and damage formula, I'm pretty sure, is a lot lower now. You do less damage per shot. And firing, how quickly you can fire your weapons is also changed a bit as well. Like Cleric mentioned earlier, I like what they did to the story. It's a lot. They followed the same format as 5, but they kind of, from the gameplay and the story, they did it significantly better. I mean, I could actually bear through, going through it because it was interesting. So, and on top of that, it's actually quite a bit difficult, especially after you get to past story mission 7. I think I told you guys about this earlier, but there's one mission where you have to fight 5 ACs.
Careful.
Don't worry, no spoilers.
All right.
But oh goodness, it's some shades of what was that? Arteria Carpals from FA there. Sheesh.
Well, no, it's like you didn't have to fight 5 ACs at once, but you have to fight them right after the other.
Oh, consecutive.
And yeah, they're not too shabby the way it was done.
That sounds like fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and the final story mission. Ooh, Claire, you can tell them about that.
No, I'm not going to.
No,
I am not ruining that for anyone.
I
In fact, I can't tell them about it because after the mission was completed, I tried to skip it.
No, just like how hard it was.
Oh yeah. Oh, difficulty. Yeah. I could see why by yourself that would be hard to do. I could definitely see why. Now, if you're running a lightweight with maybe with a good set of rifles, things like that, you might be able to do it and keep your distance the whole time. That'd be probably the logical way of overcoming it by yourself. But in a tank, yeah, that's not the easiest fight.
Wow.
You're ruining half the fun there, which is figuring out the AC to beat the mission. So, all right. Zealous, first impressions, what you're thinking about it?
First impressions, as far as what I'm really enjoying, I noticed this off the bat, the changes for energy. There have been a lot of talks around the forums about just some more room for movement, boosting, just mobility overall, and I can confirm that you can definitely feel it, namely with the energy that's available for your gens and the speed of your energy regen. There's more freedom in that regard. So I think right there, that's going to lead to probably a lot more designs. Maybe you'll get to do a few things you wanted to with designs that, like some of the mobility you didn't get in the past. I think you'll be able to find that here, which I love. That is that whole freer feeling. Now, all the parts have been renamed to the high hills, so it's difficult to draw references at this point. I'm just referring to all of them as their classic Vanilla 5 names, and I probably won't stop. And I know Tierson doesn't care too much about that because.
No,
none. But yeah, energy was one thing. Second, I'm gonna echo Cleric regarding the difficulty. Really enjoying that. Some shades of how some of the difficulty jumped in LR. With some of the missions and everything. And there's good variety. Things that you felt were tame back in Armored Core 5, or you'll look at it like an attack copter. Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've dealt with that before. Yeah, it'll be ready to blow your face off, and might have a few surprises that you didn't see coming. So that's great. There's good variety. Digging the terrain. We talked about the maps in our pre-release show, and as we were discussing this, and they haven't disappointed so far. You've had urban terrain, some desert terrain. I think the smallest map I ran into so far was one of the canyons. I do not have these names memorized at all yet, but it was literally like a circular arena, and it just kind of it narrows down. It's like a cone.
I think that's one of the the free battle maps I was looking at earlier.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about, though.
That's definitely one of the tighter areas. Now this wasn't like barn arena tight yet or anything, but I did notice that, and even within that, some of the smaller maps, there's still Usage of cover you can make, and some other different spots to set up a tactical strike and whatnot. So that's cool for me. So the energy, the maps being there, and then the mission structure as well. This time you go through a number of order style missions in addition to your story missions. Before you could simply select story mission, story mission, story mission. But this method not only gets you access to the parts and helps you open up things as you go through. I feel you kind of get a more totalitarian, like, whole view of the game and what it is and everything that's happening. So that's a good part. Those parts were a little separate before, and it's nice to see them kind of melded. So that I'm digging. Now, real quick, I'm sure we're all going to talk about some of our gripes and whatnot, but this struck me like a bolt of lightning. No CG opening. Can anybody correct that?
No, you're right. I mean, there are some small CG elements, but no, definitely not on the scale that we've had in the past.
Yes.
I didn't see any either.
Yeah, this is the second one that's ever not had a CG opening. Ninebreaker being the first one.
True. NB was just gameplay and whatnot, but not even that. You kind of just come right into the interface with this one. You'll see some footage and whatnot later, but yeah, I don't want to stray too far on that. I know you guys have probably got some words to say, and I have a couple of other notes. So,
I haven't had a chance to go yet.
Yeah. What?
No. In all honesty, though, you guys have already covered everything that I would have said.
So okay. Fair enough.
Repeating what you guys have said, I think one thing that hasn't been brought up yet is that the game definitely they worked on the graphics a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll focus on this because I don't think anybody brought that up. In particular, and this is something that I was really anal about. I mean, I put a lot of decals all over my AC, and you could barely even see them in most of AC5 unless you were actually looking right at my AC, looking at it in the garage mode. The colors are a lot brighter this time around, and they are different overall. The game, I think, has a little bit more of a smoother view, or a smoother kind of feel and view to it. But yeah, everything else you guys are saying, definitely Cleric, when you were talking about the wall jumping, that was annoying the piss out of me. But then at the same time, Zealous says that things do seem to move a little bit more fluent, and I agree with that. I'm loving it because, I mean, ever since I get my hands on AC5, I quickly realized, this just doesn't feel like a complete game. There's parts that should be in here. There's elements that just, seem to be missing. And still, there's no optional parts, which I will always bitch about until they bring them back. But, it's starting to feel like it's more of a complete game. And I think they always intended with AC5 to finish it up with obviously whatever the expansion was going to be. And I think when everything's said and done, we will have a complete Armored Core installment. And so with that, I'm really loving it. Okay, so I want to get something out of the way because now we have not actually really played online yet. Any of us with Freebot or anything, but
I played one.
Okay, so you have played one, so that's how you. Okay, but I asked you this before we started shooting here, before we started recording. Region lock, because this has been one of the biggest questions for the last several months. If you guys, and I think for some, this will actually be a deciding factor. Zealous, I know that we've had some people talk a lot about this, and I think we've talked about it on the show a couple times, and I think this does matter because the way region lock was done in 5. Really just kind of choked the communities to death, some of them. And none of them were as complete or as full as they could have been. They've fixed that this time. You have 2 regions. You have Japan, and you have everyone else. And that's the way I think it should be.
Though I would like to have Japan included in our grouping too, but that's maybe just because I'd like to cut my teeth on some Japanese players. It'd be kind of nice. Especially from back in, the old school Armored Core days, how much I wish I could have played some of the Japanese players, watching all their videos on YouTube and thinking, man, if they played like that against us, that was so tough. I mean, I remember thinking that multiple occasions. But yeah, I'm like, it's good the way it needs to be. The region lock obviously not being just us by ourselves, which is a gigantic improvement from before. I still would have liked to have seen Japan be included, though. I think it would have been a nice little nod to the players, like, hey, here's all the player base, go at it. But I guess beggars can't be choosers.
My biggest concern when it comes to mixing region locks is language, literally, the literal communication of that. And so, if you got too many different languages all meshed in one giant community, it could end up having a negative effect. As it is, I do believe we'll get some Spanish regions with this. Most of them, from the sounds of it, will be English speaking or English writing region, which is good. My time playing WoW. Every once in a while, we would have to communicate with people from a lot of. Let's see if I can remember. I can't remember what country, but it was a Spanish speaking and writing country, and so that would end up, they were like one server out of like a group of 12, so that was really tough for them, being the only Spanish server mixing up with a bunch of English speaking servers. So that's why I think it's going to be that Japan's kind of in their own thing, whereas the vast majority of the regions that we have mixed in one are going to be primarily English-speaking regions.
The region lock thing was a subject of a lot of contention, going into verdict day, and there was a lot of uncertainty about this. People were asking, given, and a lot of people had reported, hey, well, I heard this, or I heard that. But as far as getting a lot of the official confirmations on things exactly the way it was going to be, we didn't have that for a while. And it kind of felt like that plagued us right up into release. But I think the good side of this is, at least for you, Cheng, you won't have to worry about running over, well, let me go to EU side to record this, or let me go to NA side there.
4 copies of AC5.
Definitely. Right. It'll save your pocket, and the fact that they're compressed, I think this is going to make for much more interesting verses, the free battles, the battle royales, and exhibitions and events. We do them too. That's just a better pool of players, cut and simple.
That's what it's really about. Is that our community literally has grown much bigger, and at this point, it almost makes up for the fact that we're still split on consoles. Although, let's be honest, at this point, we're not really split on consoles. I mean, when they put out a collector's edition for one and not the other, they're saying something.
Yeah, it's definitely a statement.
Just like the old days. But something I forgot to mention when I was saying something earlier, I got to say, too, love the change to part tuning. For sure. Now, granted, some people are like, well, I like trying to tune or, level up my weapon to max blah, blah, blah. But seriously, cut and dry, make your weapon the way you want to. Couple tunes here, one tune here, bam, you have the weapon you want. I love that idea for these weapons. It's so much more intuitive to get something that you want into your AC design.
I definitely like the fact they don't have to grind it anymore. That drove me crazy. I mean, that's part of why I left the MMO scene, was no more grind. No, I don't want to grind anymore. So definitely happy about that. I think it's a little simplistic. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Ninebreaker, which we brought up earlier, that allowed you to put 5 points into something, where this is only 3 for tuning. I know one of the previous ones on the PS2.
For weapons or for frame parts?
I just remember tuning up to 5 different.
That's frame parts. I think with the older games, because
I like that though. I think 3 is a little less, but overall I do very much like the system that they have in Verdict Day.
Yeah, for sure. In addition to the frame tunings, what we have, and the weapon tuning being available, that's always a great comparison to take. To look back to where we were in PS2 with that, and to see the evolution these things have come. I think tuning was an awesome idea out of the box. I always felt it should belong in AC, permanently. I mean, what spells more customization than that? And with the stuff you have in Verdict Day, you can really take that extra tweak in your AC. I personally have not gone crazy experimenting with that. I'm more focused on getting through the main missions and doing the full unlock first before I go crazy at the customization. I just feel like I'm stacking up my Christmas presents right now, and I'll open them. I'll open them all at once. I'll leave them in a big pile. So
then we'll go down the list again. Mm-hmm. Cleric, what favorite weapons so far? Favorite part or weapons?
Okay, for those of you who don't know from before my previous design style, I have been a huge fan of weapon arms for the longest time. And of course, my disappointment and dismay, they were not located in Armored Core 5. That's been rectified in Verdict Day. And much to my joy, no, you do not have to be kneeling in order to use the cannon arms, which makes me very happy. So looks like Grammaton Mark IV is going to be making an appearance in this game rendition with weapon arms. Probably the pulse cannon arms of all of them, they are pretty gross as far as damage output goes. It's a little bit disgusting. And the fact that I can fly around with them on a biped at the same time, yeah, it's...
Yeah,
I gotta admit, I enjoy it a lot.
they've got like it's cannon, basically moving cannons. They've lived up to their name basically. Like the heat cannon arms, 4,400 attack power. Laser cannon, let's see, or pulse cannon arms, about 1,100, and laser cannon, 5,000.
Vicious.
Like, some of these stats they're crazy. I mean, if you're going to use weapons arms, they're probably going to be worth it because with what you can do with these, and it's not like they have a little ammo. They have quite a bit.
Yep.
Well, I guess I was a little surprised, and I probably shouldn't have been surprised that you can't use shoulder items with your weapon arms. I guess I was a little shocked by that, but I guess I shouldn't have been.
Well, like originally I thought my kind of thought on that was that they were going to be underpowered. I mean, because you're losing 2 weapons and a shoulder. But after looking at them, I take that back.
I think the jury's going to be out on that one a little bit. I would have to, in my initial view of them, I actually am on the other side of that. I look at what the weapon arms are, and it's like, okay, massive loss in armor, huge increase in weight, and they are guns in the arms. But that by itself would balance them out. Okay, so you're gonna dump a crap load of armor, but you've got built-in guns now. They work together. That in itself could balance it. I'm not so sure of losing the shoulder weapons, in particular missiles and various other gadgets that you can put in your shoulders. I'm not sure if that's going to end up balancing out, but I guess we'll see.
I think it balances out very well. Just out of an opinion here, because the guy who used dual pulse cannons for the longest time in AC5, I can definitely see why they took out shoulders. Because can anyone imagine the pulse cannon arms with the energy amplifiers? Pretty sure that would just be ridiculously stupid damage. I really...
I mean, they've taken away, like I said earlier, we don't have optional parts anymore. They're so, and this is kind of, if I've had a complaint about this current series, it's the fact that, with 5 at least, you could have the guns in your hands, and then you could put on the energy amplifier, and you can build towards that kind of. It's a removal of customizing your AC, and I guess in that regard, I'm not liking that so far. So taking away the shoulder installation. Is a step in the wrong direction.
In my opinion, it's more like trading off one customization for the other. It's just kind of like the old games, like using the old weapon arms. Maybe a little bit more limiting, but I still see it being fair enough where it can be used.
Yeah, well, that's exactly my point. I think we've spent this much time talking about weapon arms. I guess it's not surprising it's a new mechanic or part added into the game. Right. But you have the option of doing cannon damage while moving. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the big thing here. I mean, you're doing cannon-sized damage while moving. I mean, before, if you're a quad or a biped of any kind, you'd have to be kneeling, dead stopped in order to fire these cannons. Whereas this, no, not so much. You can run around, fly around, boost around all you want, and fire and do cannon damage while moving. I mean, that's going to be the biggest draw. That's going to be the biggest draw to them.
Let me play devil's advocate here, then, because I see what you're saying. But let me play devil's advocate. Does that weaken tanks?
No, I don't think it weakens tanks whatsoever, in all honesty. Because tanks, if they want to use the weapon arms, they can. But the difference is tanks can still use the dual cannons while moving. Then once those are up, they switch to the weapon arms and use them. So I don't think it necessarily takes away from tanks as much as it kind of gives other leg types the ability to do bigger damage, as opposed to being stuck doing pea shooter damage while moving.
I think this is thought-provoking stuff that we'll learn about here as time goes on and they're patched. If we get all of our patches in, which we better.
For it.
Which we better. We better get them. Okay, Zealous, what's your favorite weapon so far?
Favorite weapon? You know what? Again, I am the kid saving for Christmas here. My usual style of runs, especially if I'm allowed to import, I have this, you could call it maybe semi-masochistic tendency to not do upgrades if possible, to literally run with what I had and just burn through it like that, then I'll look. I know that's crazy in a regard. I tend to take a look once enough stuff is piled up. Now, I've gone through some of the things I've unlocked given. A few of the parts that have come out, and I gotta say, if I were to pick something, okay, that was just enjoyable. Those blade arms are just so fun. I was already really excited hearing about a blade arm, as was right, but now seeing a solid blade. Before AC fans sort of got their wish with the Murakumo. They asked for it for years, but it lacked the punch a lot of fans wanted, and now you've got these arms that are specifically dedicated to that. So it's a specialty thing, I understand. I think it's like 110% on style points. I'm totally hyped about that, and yeah. And now I'd probably say a quad if I'd unlocked it yet. I'm still looking for the new quad frames. That's what I'm looking out for most, but that's a remain to be seen. So.
Okay, so I guess for me, I haven't actually put it on yet, but as soon as I saw it in the shop, the new rifle, the new high speed rifle with the high accuracy, and I can't wait to get my hands on that. That thing's just, I'm drooling over that.
Yeah,
amazing appearance.
That thing I'm thinking is going to be less for like missions and more for PvP. So that's why I haven't actually put it on there yet. But I haven't, who knows? I'm going to test with it soon. The gun arms are just they're just fucking cool. Not an F-bomb on that. They're just cool. And I'm playing around with those a little bit. Let's see. That's it for weapons. Really, we were talking before the show. I really like one of the new generators that came out. That was like something on my wish list that I wish I had for 5. And I saw that generator. I'm like, that's what I want. That is what I've been wanting forever. And then I put it on and I tested it. I'm like, that is exactly what I want. So that works perfect.
Oh man, if I recall, what was it? You were talking about the weight of the generator itself as opposed to the capacity you could get out of it. You were trying to find a balance between those things?
Just the weight and everything. It's exactly, when building ACs and 5s, God, if it was just a little bit lighter and just did this, and then there it is. It's all right. Cool.
Oh, I wonder will you go as far as to love it as much as the Raz? Oh, CGP Raz, man. That gen. And,
I actually remember that one too.
Yeah, Raz, man. The amazing thing about that, per the description, for the Raz, it was, considered 4 heavyweight ACs, quote unquote. But let's face it, it was the premier gen of the time. And looking at the current gen, we've obviously had our popular ones. Some of it goes by design. I know a lot of players enjoyed the Prochney. But again, some things come down to capacity, what type of attack style you're looking for, exactly what you're trying to do with your AC, what's your weapon loadout. That's obviously going to have a massive bearing. And especially if you're someone who's going to make use of the over weapons, that's also going to change it. And I think we're going to continue to see that, even with Verdict Day. I want to say the age of Raz style choices for gens have passed, but we'll see. So.
Yeah. Okay. So the story, the actual story with the game.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes.
Hey. No spoilers. Hey. Hey.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. No. Fair enough. But the actual story, does Verdict Day flesh this out well? Are they doing a good job telling the story, and are you enjoying it? Let's start with Cleric.
I'd say they do a better job exploring things and letting you get into the world. Whereas before, you were just kind of like, hey, here's a story mission. Hey, this is what you're doing. Here's this AC group. Hey, go destroy this stuff. Whereas now you kind of have a little bit of a pre-built. You kind of have a little bit of rapport with your operator and your pilots. And you also get a lot of these view files after you complete a mission that gives you background story on like ACs you destroyed, weapon types you destroyed, maps you're on, faction groups, things like that. Mm-hmm. so you really can kind of read into the lore of Verdict Day, and it gives you a lot of internal looking into what this whole Verdict Day war is about. And so it's really much more fleshed out, and at least so far, I like the voice actors in this one. Like, the voice acting's pretty good, and I kind of like the direction of the story. Granted, I have beat the game, quote unquote, but I didn't watch the ending. I kind of muted my TV and kind of looked away
Well done.
so Chang could watch it while I was like, I haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, I really like the story a whole lot more in this one compared to 5. In fact, the story mode in this one is somewhat reminiscent to me of almost kind of Nexus level when it comes to story.
Yeah.
Kind of. It kind of reminds a little bit of Nexus.
It's kind of got some elements of it too, like the little informational tidbits. It's kind of, like the ones in Nexus, the little updates, like, hey, Mirage did this, and, they did that. That's kind of what I thought of first when, when it popped up.
Yeah, so I like the story, how it's fleshed out. I like how the direction it's going so far, and I like the little tidbits and the view files at the end. Much better job in the story of this one compared to 5.
Cool.
Well, yeah, and I think 5 was probably one of the worst ones, just in how they told the story. I mean, there's literally huge gaps in the story, and like you're missing so much information about what this world is and what's happening in it. And and actually, Verdict Day does start out the same, where it's like, blam! It's like you're in this new world now, and they don't tell you a lot about it at first. They do lay it down a little bit, but yeah, I think it's doing a really good job. This is, every once in a while I give a crap about the Armored Core story, and this one actually kind of getting to that point where it's like, okay, they're doing a good job of actually immersing me into this.
Yeah.
So I might actually care this time, which is shocking.
And it's interesting you highlight that, how the immersion goes hand in hand with how much you actually care about the plot. I think some people just expect just to take the story and just follow it, for what it is. But no, I completely agree. I think immersion is a huge part of it, and it not only feels like you engage with what's happening in the storyline of your garage, through your AC and everything, but being part of this world system, that ties a bit into the world mode, choosing a faction. Actively seeing, on a grid what's happening, getting requests that come in for your faction, areas that are under contention. That really adds a kind of live dynamic feel to things, which makes it a lot of fun. And, bouncing a bit off what Cleric's saying, too, about the Nexus style of just reminding you of different events and world things that are going on. I almost feel, first of all, for ACs, we have an extended explanation. You have your sortie start when you're going against an AC that tells you a bit about said design. But then afterward, you get this whole backstory, about their rank, where they resided, like where they came from, and where they were just taken out by you, killed in action and whatnot, and from all sides. So, for those of you that hated to read the mail in the past ACs, you might not like that so much, because you do get there's a lot of info that comes up, but
that's true. This old man's got to put his reading glasses on.
Yeah. So just expect that after missions. I think there was a feel before of, oh, do it, okay, put that down, next one. But no, here it's, okay, pop up, notice, pop up, notice, and then go. So it's almost like a forcible stop. You can blow through it if you want, but I like just kind of pausing to read that a minute. So.
Yeah, and I would suggest anyone who's kind of blown through that, you can go back in your player data and view those files again.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest reading him. If you haven't, you just kind of blown through them because I want to play the missions. It actually lets you help you flesh out why you what you're doing, which I think is kind of would help you overall in your feeling as far as playing the main story of the game. I have a question for everyone, and I know it's kind of early, but I have a question for everyone if they don't mind. What is your favorite faction so far? Of the 3 factions. Now, granted, we haven't had much with it yet. We haven't seen too much with it yet, except for maybe Chang, who's played the game.
No, I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, my feelings about your faction, but I'll let you share those later.
Yeah.
But no, So I'll start with you, Zealous. Favorite faction so far?
Evergreen. Gotta say Evergreen.
The Tree Huggers.
The Tree Huggers. Proud Tree Hugger. I was reading a bit of the backstory, and you get that as soon as you come in. You can take a look at what each faction's about. And I was always the Belena fan, the Kisaragi and whatnot. I was always interested in the smaller tech firms. Creston, Emerald, and they always slugged it out, with Zeo and Mirage
You'll
and whatnot.
make-
Yeah, Zeo Matrix. I miss that guy. He should have been in this one. They need to get him.
That would have been sweet.
Man, but yeah, I liked. I thought Evergreen's mission was interesting. It's this idea of almost combining like a what was that?
I say careful now.
I will. I won't give too much, but the way their mission is really interesting. The way it's kind of melded. I haven't seen a faction work quite like that, and they're the underdogs apparently, at least from what we get from some of the lore. So I went with them up front. Another thing I noticed, and I confirmed this, Cheng, by popping over on the team you had set up, was your theme changes depending on what faction you're aligned with, and there's a much more. I don't know if you guys listen to all of them, but I've only heard 2 so far, and I know the one for Evergreen is more of it's kind of just a little rock ballad, kind of rock melody that just paces well. You can just kind of nod your head a little bit to, and then you have some of the rest that are very militaristic and heavy war beat drums and whatnot. It's interesting. I'd like to.
Wait, is Evergreen the one that basically repeats the name over and over again?
Yeah, that's the one.
I remember from the beta.
That's the one. I thought that was funny. So if you want to get hypnotized, yeah, go join Evergreen.
So what do you think, Cheng?
I don't care really. I mean, I really don't. I have no attachment to any one group.
Okay,
although the first one,
you don't have any attachment. Just which one do you like the best so far?
Sirius, maybe. That's what I first thought of joining.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, no particular reason. Just I like blue.
Well,
I like blue.
It's not different. I mean, green's one of my favorite colors, which is why I'm currently going with the evergreen. But actually, it sounds like I might be deciding by the basic that's the theme that's played with the team that you joined. So, in the past, what always made me pick my favorite teams was who made the parts I really liked.
Yeah.
And they don't. These teams, they don't make the parts. Another company called the Foundation does. So. I don't know.
You have Venite written all over you, Tierson. You have Venite written all over you.
What do you mean?
Well, it's good we joined Venite, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, you joined Venite and Vortisol to join the people who are the most aggressive and back.
Hey, I didn't
rolling.
Point a gun to your head.
Seriously though, basically, Tierson, the Venite is the group that basically takes everything they possibly can by force and doesn't care who hurts in the way. So
it's like Hitler's.
I thought Venite. I thought you.
I'm a little worried that you refer that to me, but I can appreciate that. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with the green guys right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sure. And honestly, I will switch at some point. I will switch. So I want to try them all out.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I'm in the same place. I am also in alliance with you two. I like the evergreen. I like the underdogs. That's pretty much how I've always been. So yeah, underdogs for the win. So evergreen. For the win.
And it looks like some other people follow the same sentiment. Now, Cheng or someone, correct me, if I'm reading this wrong, but that graph, that at least that pie chart that we have in the bottom left side of the screen on the world menu, I take it that's just updated according to what's happening with the season, just who's aligned with who, correct?
No, it's who's dominating, if I remember correctly.
Who's dominating? So
who's winning, basically.
Okay, it's who's winning. So I'm looking at this. Evergreen has the edge right now?
Yep.
It's on our side, yeah. Love it.
So underdogs are winning the first season. What do you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think if I understand how the system works correctly, so that is the team that people went with at least at some point and did some of the world mode stuff, but they could have left that team by now.
I don't think. Could they have? I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to until season reset.
If you change team. I think that's if you change team.
You could still. Everyone could switch from one team to another, even though you started one yourself. Yeah. It would still completely switch that over to another faction. So it could work that way.
Yep, and I can personally confirm that. When I started up, I started a singleton that was aligned with Evergreen, and then when I jumped over, just a while ago to kind of help build up what you had, Cheng, I was automatically aligned with a different team. So that's.
Traders left and right.
It's already happening, right?
Okay, so now let me ask. What do you have against tree huggers, man?
Well,
I don't know. I don't like green.
This guy serves
Hey, completely off topic. Completely off topic. But if you ever get help yourself, YouTube search environmentalists crying over dead tree. I will guarantee you cannot stop laughing watching that video. That's completely off topic of everything we're talking about. Just Google search that. You'll find it. You will laugh for the next 5 minutes.
I mean, our favorite game series is building giant robots. So I mean, we can't. I would be surprised if there was a lot of environmentalists in our community to begin with. But yeah, I find that amazing that Cheng. I mean, this guy serves tea all day, and he doesn't. He's got to do a tree hugger.
Shut up. They're dead trees. Dead trees and leaves.
Dead trees and leaves. Oh dear! Wow, this discussion has really digressed. Woo!
Oh, it's awesome. No, I think it is. I'm having fun. Okay, so all right, get back to it then. Then we'll start with Cleric again. What's something that you've really, and we've talked about negatives a little bit here, but what are you disliking the most right now? What are you looking at with Verdict Day and just like, oh man, or they didn't change that, or oh man, look at what they did with this.
The one thing I probably dislike the most so far, that's an interesting one. Like I said, I like tanks. As everyone knows when played Armored Core 5, tanks had a very good hard problem with verticality in the first place. Not saying that they shouldn't necessarily increase their verticality. I didn't think they should have hurt it any more than it was, though. I mean, I was noticing in some of these missions, and Randall, I know I'm using not a very high ascension lake type, but even so, where I could ascend some things not without too much difficulty. Now, like there's some walls I'm having a hard time getting over just because the ascension of my tank legs are so much less than they seem like they were before. Now, granted, that could be just what I'm used to, but it just seems like they don't go nearly as high. And then on top of that, the tank's turning speed seems to have been lowered too. So it's just like the
drain as well.
Yeah,
drain
what?
Went up. Drain went up.
Yeah, and the energy drain. Oh my goodness, energy drain on tank legs. Woo-hoo. They went even higher, so my pulse cannon tank is even harder to use than it used to be. So they buffed tanks with the AP level some, which is nice. They kind of help balance out the AP totals. But at the same time, they made tanks an even easier target than they were before, which just seems like a kind of a bad direction to take them, especially considering some of the ACs I fought in the story missions seem to be able to fly around and jump like a mile high and high boost all over the place like it's nothing and be behind me in 2 seconds. So I mean, that seems to be kind of a balancing issue right now. That tanks seem to be basically even slower moving targets now than they were before.
And it probably doesn't help that lightweights are even faster. I know we talked about this earlier, but I built two ACs, one midweight and one lightweight sniper, and the only difference I changed was the leg. And the midweight with Borea was 335. The lightweight was 385. So there's like a huge speed difference now, and that was because I was using somewhat heavy parts. So a lightweight could probably go significantly faster than that. We're talking 400 average, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, good luck with a tank with pole cannons or heavy cannons on that one.
And it doesn't help that damage is done a little slower. I mentioned earlier how fast you fire and how much damage is taken. And also cannons got nerfed a bit, Cleric.
Yeah, I noticed that too, but yeah, I had enough gripes for one game. I want to like this game, and I like it a lot so far. I don't want the little things to weigh me down yet. I will find ways to overcome that, which could be weapon arms, but we'll see.
Well, Cheng, does that add in for you then? That's what they've done to tanks? Is that what your major gripe is so far?
Yeah, especially because they nerfed my main tank, Red Terror, the autocannons. The projectile characteristic is different. It's slower. And it takes a significantly longer amount of time to do the damage. Like back in, let's see, I would say 1.0, 1.03, 1.04 with the dual autocannons, I could out damage an HRJ using dual Strozas. Like I can't even do anything close to that now. So it's like I'm going to have to reconsider whether I'm going to be able to use that build for Verdict Day, and what else it's going to mean.
Right.
And let's see, what else did I not like? I don't
Well,
like how
that's
they
all right.
did shields.
It was what you were disliking the most so far. But no, what's that about shields?
The way they did shields, it's actually a bit different. I was hoping they were going to do it like the shield MTs that you fight in the game, but it's not. It's your shield only has defense, high defense in one area, and it has anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 AP. But the way it takes damage is kind of different. I haven't fully fleshed this out and seen it completely, but it kind of looks like it just takes effective damage. I mean, even when it blocks it out. So it just doesn't work the same, and it's just too inefficient. They're just going to burn through it way too fast for it to be used that well. I mean, I know I'm using one now, but when the game starts getting developed, like the metagame, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to continue using it because it's almost it might it's almost like a waste of a slot.
Well, and I was going to say, looking at the shield so far, I don't disagree really with anything you're saying, but I think for people, I mean, if you only have just a little bit of weight and you don't really want to lose any energy, but you want to fill that slot with something that could end up being useful, that's actually how I ended up going into piles a while back. Was that, I really wanted to keep my energy in a certain area, and, I didn't want to slow myself down too much, but, I had an open slot, like, I could put something useful there. And that's how I ended up putting a pile out there in starting to learn how to use piles. I think the shield is kind of similar, but much simpler. It doesn't weigh a lot. It takes almost no energy to use it, and that could save your ass. It's something where you could just switch it out real quick. And I don't know, especially with how bad shields have been in previous Armored Core games. I don't know if we can expect much more than that. So. Again, just kind of playing devil's advocate to that with you. I don't really disagree though. They're not as powerful as I would personally like them. I don't think they're quite functioning the way I would have liked them to function. But I can definitely see where they could have a use. I don't think they were meant to be game changing though.
I know, but I kind of would have liked it so it would be possible to play more defensively because basically, I have a shield and a gun, and so my damage output is going to be a lot lower, and so that shield is really going to have to be a big part of it, especially since I'm going to be a heavy. So I'm probably going to be taking hits no matter how fast I am. But it is what it is.
I would like to see the ability to emplace the shield and kind of use it as cover. That would have been sweet.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't seen them all yet, so I do think they would be pretty cool. If you're using a cannon, you're biped, and you're using a cannon, and obviously you get the shield that comes out of your arm, and then no, actually you probably couldn't even use your other shield then, could you? I mean, that would be pretty cool. That would actually make me consider using cannons on a biped. You use your shoulder, your shin shield on your AC as well as your other shield.
Yep.
That would have been that probably could have worked. Oh wow.
Probably didn't put that in. Cool. I haven't actually tested it myself, but yeah, probably doesn't work.
Alas.
Probably not.
Some of this.
Zealous, what do you dislike in the most?
My dislike, it's kind of interesting right now. It's a gray. I'm going to say it's a gray area because I have not experienced it. E.g., I haven't been hit with any. But, if you remember, coming into Verdict Day, we had a couple pages about penalty points for not finishing a what was it, like a conquest, Cheng, or like a full mission.
It's really any of the sorties. So the sorties, the special, basically anything related to the conquest system ish, or the new one, whatever it's called. I don't know anymore.
I understand the approach. I understand the thinking, what's happening here, and implementing something like that. I mean, obviously there's an issue here with the way players have treated this, or there's been an issue in the past with the bailing or DC, whatever you want to call it. And now you have a measure in place that specifically addresses that, but I'm always very leery about things like that when I look at it, because it can be a double edge. On the one hand, it can help deter certain temptations, or how to act in different conquest and free battles and whatnot. But on the other hand, there's times when it can genuinely punish players that do mean well. I actually got a message sent in. Foxfire was talking about this very point. He mail me over PS. A couple people mailed me over PSN, but he had an issue with this specific point as well. Yeah, I'm just quoting him a bit here. I'm actually looking at my box. He was saying that stop assuming every customer is a malicious hacker waiting to reprogram your wares and resell it as his own. And I said, wow. I'm not sure, how far that goes for people or how, involved that really is in the scene, but I'm a little worried about it. And this, especially during this next week, I think we'll see more of it. It's something we'll keep an eye on all the forum communities too, and hopefully we just gather some more data on it. But I'm very leery about that right now.
My only concern in relation to that is that it may be a fix for an outdated problem. Because yes, that was a problem for the Conquest system for 5, but we have no clue how it's going to be for Verdict Day, or how people are going to exploit it. Because I mean, they did this for 5. Mm-hmm. That was patch 1.05, I think. Basically, if you backed out of a start mission or a conquest mission, it would punish you by preventing you from doing any more. And if you did it a certain number of times, it would lock you out of the conquest system altogether. No merking, no start missions, no nothing. If you were on the same team as a person who did that, then that whole team wouldn't be able to do it if that person joined in.
Ouch.
Yeah. So I kind of
would almost exactly what it said on the verdict.
Yeah, it was.
Sure that's the exact same. Yeah, that's
verbatim.
literally exactly what it said, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So, if it is, like you're saying, if it is a patch, for an old issue, therein lies the double edge. You could have something that is overcompensating, in a sense, and that would be a worry. But we'll find out.
But I don't see how that really helped. Maybe I'm just naive because I didn't play as much as online as I would like to due to life constraints. But quitting the mission still makes your team lose the mission, and you still lose the territory if that was what it was for. I mean, I don't really see how disconnecting is beneficial to you whatsoever in conquest mode.
Well,
I could see it would be beneficial in free battle, but like I said, I don't have as much experience with people disconnecting on me, I guess, as other people would.
Well, because sometimes when you disconnect in a battle, sometimes it'll actually give the win to the person disconnecting. I don't know how it works, but this has happened on occasion, and I know it happened to Enders once with a specific team, which I won't name. But basically, they disconnected, and the server treated it as a win for them, and we lost that territory. So it's kind of a hit and miss thing, because sometimes it'll give it to them, and sometimes it won't.
Wow.
I mean, you guys are talking about some pretty serious stuff here. You're making my biggest gripe pretty damn trivial. We don't get new workshops. What's up with that? You guys are talking about these problems with the online system.
Where's my paint? Where's my workshop?
Where's my decals?
Where's
my paint? Where's my pretty warehouse?
Seriously, though,
I paid for
but
this.
I'm excited about because I like the workshop. I like, I think I have some fun with that. And I'm like, oh my god, new workshop! Can't put this what? This is the same old workshop. And yes, I got the DLC pack, and yes, I have all those too. But I've had them for a while, and it's
right.
One
Yeah.
You
The bad news with that is I think From Software was planning to release that as DLC. So
I don't blame them either. But come on.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed about that too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it doesn't even let you keep the default, workshops either. This kind of sucked. But I wanted new workshops. I wanted new lighting too. Lighting sucked last time.
No new decals either. I mean, come on.
Of course, the graphic designer guy is the one who's griping about the lack of workshops and lack of decals.
By all means, he should.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time making emblems. You guys have seen most of them. Not Cheng, but Cleric and Zealous. I spent a lot of time with that. I don't go ape crazy with it, but I enjoy it. So yeah, a little upset about no new decals. A little upset that I don't get a new environment. I mean, let's face it. It's the closest thing that we actually get to an environment. It is the environment you spend the most time in, which is your garage, your workshop. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's where you spend the most time. Yeah, some new stuff. Come on, that would have been cool.
I mean, especially with how maps have been expanded. I'll hold on that real quick too. With the amount of maps we have to play on too, especially all the towers. This is a huge chance for just a different terrain. I'd even take one or two. But hey,
right.
Oh, quick note about that. Free battle, you only get 8 maps. That is bullshit.
Are you
What?
serious?
Because last night I did a free battle,
Yeah.
and you could only choose 8 maps. I don't know if it's like locked or
Oh,
whatever, but it's only 8 maps.
Oh boy, that's
Yeah, that sucks.
and
Because
we're not editing a bit of what's about to happen here, Zealous. These I think some shit's about to get thrown around here.
All right, save that for another podcast. Not right now. Save it.
No, man, I have emotions here. I need to express them because they specifically said that there would be. I mean, 56 maps for battle. And okay, yes, I understand that. Maybe with the story and everything, we'll actually hit all those. But 8 maps to select in free battle.
yep, I just double checked.
that's depressing.
8 maps for any setting: duel, battle royale, 8 maps. Or
Now, what about
what
What about Conquest, though? Is that where it could be a bigger variety, possibly?
Yeah, that's what I assumed it was. Is that 56 maps is for Conquest,
Okay,
but that only helps as long as Conquest is active.
Right.
the new world mode, yeah, like Conquest.
Yeah, I just call it Conquest.
Yeah.
Right, and it will probably
Conquest 2.0. Conquest 2.0.
Conquest was so bad in 5 though that I almost want to push for a different name on it, even if it is world mode. But
World Conquest.
New World Order?
yeah,
New World Conquest.
8 maps for free battle though out of
7.
50 or 7. Did we just lose one in the last 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm upset. I'm genuinely upset. I hope they change that. And honestly, we were talking about the workshops and a DLC. All right, there it is. There's the money. Another DLC coming up, I'm sure, at some point for more maps.
Battlegrounds DLC.
Yeah. All right. I don't care too much about that. If they do that, which we don't have confirmed. So if that actually ends up happening, but 7 maps, or is it 6 now? Are we down to 6?
Actually, it's 3. It's at 3 now.
I think we're at 1 now.
We're
We're
down to
doing 1
1
a minute.
down to
Oh wait,
abandoned,
yep, we can't do free battle no more. Sorry, man. No more
No,
free
you
battle.
just disable.
Conquest. Sorry.
That is upsetting, and I hope they change it. I hope we hear something soon about that because I actually think that's something that the players, regardless of their region, are going to be complaining about soon. Soon as because I know a lot of AC players like to get through their story stuff, like to get the parts before they go delve into building ACs and playing online and such. So I have a feeling that's going to end up getting griped about pretty quick.
And it's kind of
But maybe not immediately.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too. That's number 2 on the checklist for free battle. We were slowly making a calendar, a little board out of this. We were talking last week about Unax and how unfortunate that was that they weren't going to show up in free battle. And that's another thing that's on the patch list. So hopefully we don't get too many more things coming on it. But yeah, we'll see.
It'd be like Pokemon, but with ACs. Kind of.
It's deep.
A little upsetting. I didn't think that we'd have a big pile of shit, but we ended up with one tonight. So, actually, that's upsetting. I'm not. Hey, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
That's that is upsetting. But
Yeah,
you know
it
what? I'm going to look past it here. And I think we've gone about an hour now, haven't we?
About.
Yeah.
So,
Getting there.
do you guys want to wrap it up a little bit and maybe
Sure.
let's put this on a positive note? And okay, so we just discussed a couple things that are not so great. They're not horrible as long as the online system, the free battle and such is as solid as it was, if not a little bit better, at least as far as connection and and again, we're not happy obviously with these lack of maps, but we are now fighting everyone in our world except for Japan.
Yep.
Everybody that's getting this game, and that is huge. That is huge. So they took a little away, but they gave us a lot with this one.
They did.
So
And I
the
know
regional
And we get a 4-day head start.
Yep.
This is true.
4 day.
Well,
I thought it was
more like two
3
or
days.
3.
I think it's
No,
3.
it's technically 2 days because they're a day ahead of us.
Oh, that's
Okay,
true.
how about 2.5 days? How's that sound?
Okay, that's fair enough. I'll take that.
But I know.
But I'm sorry, Zos, go ahead.
No. I know I want to watch the gameplay footage carefully. For JP side once it does hit. Cheng, we spoke about this before too. I immensely enjoyed watching some of the streamers and some of the free battles that come up. I think the JP side has some very, very impressive. Both piloting uses of weapons, cover, and whatnot. Just super fast gameplay reactions. You mirrored this a little earlier, Cleric. It would. I think we'd have a very different story on our hands here if we had JP versus the rest. I think there'd be some very impressive play, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of meta they develop. You have a more of a pocket of a community here, not too much of a pocket. It's their game, for goodness sake. But JP side, and now what the EU players, what the NA players are going to develop together, it's going to be interesting to kind of compare the two side by side. So
I'm going to love this region lot that they have this time around. I'm going to love that. I know that in what was it? Was it just 4 answer, or was it AC4 as well, or was it just 4 answer?
For what?
A wide region lot, basically.
No, because 4 and 4 answer were peer-to-peer, no server, so everyone could play with anyone.
Okay,
right.
But I didn't get to experience that, so I'm going to have a lot of fun with that because regardless, besides just the Japanese having their own region,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play with everyone here in the world besides them. I'm very much looking forward to that, and just how broad it's going to make the game for online play. But okay, so let's wrap it up. So we've got a bunch of new parts. Things look a little bit prettier.
Mm-hmm.
Retrofit parts.
Yep, retrofit parts, and the gameplay feels a little bit different. Not too much, but it's a little tweaked, a little better, a little worse, depending on that's an opinion, really.
A little smoother, a little faster, unless you're a tank.
Yeah.
I'll put up with it. It's cool.
I didn't see anything about the tanking. Jury's out on that for me because I saw the changes they did to tanks, but I think it's part of a greater issue to balance. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I'm just hoping, because I really hope that AC5 is not the only one that had tanks on par with everyone else. It actually is probably a little better.
Yeah.
So, I hope that's not the end of that. But let's see, very well told story.
Mm-hmm.
But again, new Armored Core.
Yes.
And in under like a year, a little less or more than a year?
Oh, well, it's been almost a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half. So that's pretty damn soon.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and I'm sure we don't need an official statement to say that it's the last one for the PS3, considering PS4 is coming right around the corner. So, the last one for this generation of consoles.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to see how things go here over the next couple of months, at least. But this is probably going to have a really long shelf life, and we're going to be playing this one for a while.
Probably.
Cool.
Hopefully.
Well,
all right.
Then.
I think that'll wrap it up. So thank you, Cleric and Cheng, for coming on and doing the show with us.
No problem.
Yep, totally, man.
All right, Zealous.
Webinars.
Anything you want to add, Zealous, before we head out?
Oh no, that was about it.
Quad legs.
Hey, not yet. I haven't seen him yet.
Called it.
Oh man, I would like to add more about that once I see him. But seriously though, again, if you guys want to keep up with what's coming up, I'll be placing the link in the description. If you guys want to talk a bit about what you're thinking about Verdict Day, positives, negatives, up and downs, anything in between, feel free to come over and post at ACL. We'll be keeping our eyes on all the various forums in this week to come and beyond. But until next show, until next time, you guys take care. We'll see you online. Please enjoy Verdict Day. Grab your copy if you have not, and enjoy this last generation, I guess we could say, of Armored Core 5.
All right.
Cool.
He did my plug.
All right.
I got you.
All right. That's it. I got nothing then. He took my plug. So, all right. So, we'll talk to you soon. See you on the forum.
See you, everybody. Take care.
Yep. See ya.